I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes of the April 21st, 2026 meeting.
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
This got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote.
Hayes? Yes. McLean?
Yes.
Calvin?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Spockett?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda this evening is a consideration of a request for a deviation from the single-family residential design requirements, Lot 3 of the Burr Oaks Estates 3 subdivision.
Yeah, so Jan Yocum has purchased a lot in the newly constructed Burr Estates 3 subdivision and is planning to have a single family home built on the property. The single family residential design standards in section 15525 of the LDO state that all main dwellings shall have a pitched roof with a minimum 12-inch overhang on each of the dwelling's perimeter walls, such that the overhang is architecturally integrated into the design of the dwelling. The home that Jan would like to have built has roof overhangs that measure 10 inches on the front and rear of the house and 12 inches on the sides of the house. She's requesting a deviation from the roof overhang requirement as allowed by ordinance 2772. The house proposed to be built is a modular style home. For reference, a modular home is built in a factory to International Residential Code, transported in sections and placed on permanent foundations. This home is proposed to be built on a permanent crawl space foundation and include an attached garage. Proposed home meets all of the other single family design requirements listed in section 15525. As these types of homes are built in factories based on a model, there's not an option for roof overhang to be modified to meet the 12-inch minimum. Staff's recommendation on this is the approval of the deviation, as the small reduction in roof overhang would not detract from the overall aesthetic of the home. And the approval of the deviation would be consistent with the comprehensive plan, as it would aid in providing citizens with access to more affordable housing options. Now, and this here, if you have any questions for her. Also, I've included from the builder a picture, not identical, but very close to what they're proposing to build. This is a recently completed house of theirs.
Questions, comments, observations?
Are they allowed out there?
Yeah, modular and manufactured homes are allowed all over Paola. We don't have any specific zoning regulations for them. There's a difference between like manufactured home park, or as a lot of people call like mobile home park, trailer park. These are separate on an individual basis. There's no specific zoned areas that require different design features.
Does anybody have any reasoning or understanding as to why the 12-inch roof overhang was initially made part? I mean, that seems like a very specific thing to have been made a requirement, you know what I mean? So is there a reason behind that 12 inches that involves safety, or, I mean, why was that listed to begin with?
I think originally probably aesthetics
Okay.
and just keeping the rain off the siding.
But this house will still have 10-inch overhangs, it'll still have gutters, it'll still have.
Yep, yeah, it's still required to have gutters, downspouts that kick out. To anybody looking at it, at least as far as I see it, it's still gonna just look like a ranch style home. I don't know that I can tell 2-inch different in an eve from the street. So,
When Nick Hart built the subdivision down there, isn't there an HOA?
There's not an active HOA that but there are deeds and restrictions. And does require a minimum square footage and the garage not be more than 50% of the home. And there is a basement.
And a basement?
just to kind of go on top of that though, the city as a whole does not enforce deed restrictions. That is up to the homeowners of the area to take a homeowner to court essentially if they don't agree with something that's being built. We only enforce the land development ordinance. So it would be like us enforcing a private easement or a private utility company. We don't do that.
Yeah, cause I knew he would have some restrictions from a house way back when they first started building down there.
Modular home,
Yeah,
that's a little absurd to me, but
And part of that would be all the homes that are down there are all stick built. And I'd almost assure you that they're probably all got basements. Yeah,
Is this in the new phase? This is in the
This is
new
in
phase.
the
right.
Borough 3, which Borough 3 does not have any specific deed restrictions. When they platted it, they did not include any restrictions on those.
That's kind of weird.
That was
very.
that was the most recently platted section.
Mhm.
I believe it happened a year or two ago.
They just recently got the road in and all that, yeah.
That little section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe right or wrong, but I think the 12-inch deal goes way back to the homes were built, they're put on a trailer and they're transported down the highway. And they couldn't, the width of the highway and the lane of the road. I think that had a lot to do with it.
So there's also a difference between what you're thinking about with trailering in a whole home versus a modular home. Modular homes come in
Two halves.
different pieces. So you would be thinking of a manufactured home that's on steel frame and set on piers. So you can have a double wide manufactured home that looks a lot like this, but their manufactured homes are built to HUD standards and they're 100% completed, transferred down the highway on a frame. These are actually put together on a permanent foundation.
Wouldn't the city want the aesthetics of the community to remain the same though, rather than all the homes being stick built in a certain distinct, square footage and then putting a modular home on there, just to me seems very out of place. I mean, there's communities that it could definitely go into, but not an estate type of situation where all the other homes are in there are stick framed and meet all of the restrictions that are in the community.
I think it goes a little bit that you start to get into almost an HOA, the city acting as an HOA as far as really looking into the design of the house. Because somebody could build this same house on a crawl space with that 2-inch extra roof overhang. They could build it on a slab. They could do any of that without even going through this process.
This is kind of too, isn't,
Morals of the situation enough to.
It isn't. Isn't phase 3 kind of divided from the rest of Burr Oaks because of that tree line down through there? It's out by that it's by the old arena there. It's kind of like it's part of Burr Oaks, but it's a whole different look to it.
Yeah, it's phase 3 though, and it's also, in speaking with Nick, whenever he was beginning to develop that was going to have the same aesthetics as the rest of the.
The rest of the community.
Yeah.
I see there's 3 lots driving in there that says they're sold. I don't have any idea what the other 2 have plans for. And then the house being built across the private road is a full basement,
Mhm,
full blown house.
right.
Are you talking about on the 3 acre section? That's actually a slab home.
The one you're thinking of has a foundation, like I saw.
The house foundation where they had all the rock piles.
Right on the, off of two
Like on
eighty-seven.
the corner.
Close to 287. Somebody got the permit and then I think they sold it to whoever this was.
H
And then they hit a lot of rocks.
and K Homes just pulled that permit.
They sure didn't pour, I wonder what that is, maybe that, cause it didn't look like a full basement, so maybe what they have poured
They
there.
got a walkout basement on one end
Yeah, you're right.
and then the, looks like a garage on the other end, but they couldn't. They hammered for about 2 days. I don't think they got the basement down as deep as they wanted it, but they're gonna have a lot of fill around. But,
There's a lot of rock out there.
a lot of rock.
We pulled rocks outside the Volkswagens.
Yeah, so,
But yeah, I'm kinda like you on the aesthetics.
But what I hear Mitch saying is that we're limited to voting on the overhang. Not some like the,
Not the houses,
Not
not
the
not a
house
modular
itself.
home as a whole. I think that's kind of what you're getting caught up on is the aesthetics of a modular home versus just this 2 inch overhang difference.
Well, that's kinda how they made the difference. I think that's why they did that way back when. That's the reason that they had a 12 inch and the factory. Won't build one. Any different for whatever reason.
I mean, I definitely hear your concerns. I do think there will probably be others in the Brooks estates that might have concerns, but like he's saying, I don't know that it's our,
there's no deed
Our place.
restrictions.
yeah, like if there's nothing in the land ordinance and there's no deed restrictions that we can enforce, then.
Yeah, I mean, based on all that, there's no reason not to.
Does somebody wanna make a motion? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it. Do I have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's
I
put
would
it,
just say that. I think there's a good reason. Under section 15.525. That they had it as it was at 12. I think there was a very good reason and. Personally, I would, my own opinion, would not deviate from that for that reason.
But we don't know. We don't know what the reason is.
okay,
It's just,
let's go ahead and put it to a vote. Since I've got a motion and a second.
Hayes,
yeah,
McLean,
No,
Jones,
Yes,
Mauer,
No,
Schwab.
Am I allowed to comment? I'm not allowed to comment at this point, am
yeah, if you wanna comment why you're voting one way or the other.
I can comment on that.
Yeah.
My gut agrees with the two of you that I feel like
yeah,
there's some discrepancy with the home. However, I feel like where our responsibility lies here and looking at the requirements, I feel like I would have to vote yes, but I would encourage this maybe homeowner, I don't know, to check with neighbors, or I just worry, I hope there's not problems down the road for the homeowner and neighbors, because
So,
I could see that happening.
so
So my vote would be on the difference between a 12 inch and a 10 inch overhang to allow it, so I would allow the overhang, yes.
okay, 3-2.
I did not like voting last.
so there's,
Okay. All right,
so there's 12 inch overhangs on the gable ends. That not running across front and back.
Correct.
First date for some.
if you want to allow her to.
You wanna,
Just real quick.
Yeah.
It's came with and they're stick-built houses. Mitch has a picture of the house, you can't tell it's not built on site. I raised the roof from 3.5 to 5.5 because I didn't want it to look like a mobile home. No offense if anybody lives in one, but that's what took away the 2 inches on the back of the front. Was taking it up, so you can look at the picture, it looks, and I have a friend who's moving there, they're building a stick house on the site. And it's not gonna look any different. You know, because we still have to go by the plants and the trees, and it's not gonna look any different than any of the other houses, because Mitch has a picture, it just looks like a ranch.
Will you have a 2-car attached garage?
Yes.
Right.
And then a big backyard, we're right in front of the big white barn,
Yeah,
to the,
it looks like a nice lot.
yeah, it's the biggest one there, and I called originally before anything ever started, and they said no mobile homes, but modulars were okay. And they are not steel built, they are stick built. So in reality, they're just built in a factory versus on site. So, I mean, I guess I caused that because I wanted it to look like a ranch. I didn't want it to look, you know, I saw a picture at the place, and one was a 5.5 peak and one was a 3.5 peak. You could definitely tell the difference. And that's when I said the roof's gotta go up. Because I didn't want it to look, I'm not spending that much money to
Yeah,
do a mobile home and have everybody complain. So I wanted it to look as much like a ranch as I could. Like, you know, normal house.
are you new to Paola?
Pardon me?
Are you new to Paola? Like, are you
I've lived
using-
in Paola for probably 30 years.
Oh, no.
But I lived out in the county, never lived in the city limits, so. And I got 3 existing houses versus building.
Yeah.
So this is all great to me, so.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome, sorry.
No, you're good. All right, mention community development report.
I don't know my phone this time. All right. Permits, we're up to 353 permits so far. That's leaps and bounds ahead of what we normally are. We've had 220 of those since the spring, and about 75% of that has been groups. Yeah, we can't process them fast enough. Mariah has been just working her tail off. They just stack up. Trevor has probably 30 inspections a day. And we've got nuisance mowing starting. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the tall grass, so those letters have gone out. Now we just kind of wait for them to either come back or for them to mow. Yeah. Casey's has sent out an offer to purchase for their 2 closed down locations. The way I see it is kind of a sealed bid type of sale. The window has closed now for it. It was quick, it was 2 or 3 weeks long. I haven't heard back. I probably won't hear back on who got them until the county changes it, but at least they finally moving through with selling it, so we can hopefully get some reuse out of them.
Yeah,
That's
good.
Mhm.
They do and did put deed restrictions on those properties, basically, so no other gas stations could be in there, a non-compete, essentially. No restaurants that sell certain foods. Basically, anything Casey sold, whatever goes there can sell.
I can't come back.
So, a lot of times they turn into, salons. And, my hope is maybe a small business that wants to actually buy a place or rent a bigger place, can do that.
Yeah.
We posted the request for bids for 9 East Chippewa Street for the demolition. So that'll end at the end of June and then go before council in early July for the decision on it. 3 North Walnut Street, next council meeting, I'm gonna be initiating the dangerous structure process on the house that caught on fire in November. We've lost contact with the owner, and so unfortunately, we have to go through the process with it. We do have an insurance proceeds lien on total losses for fires, so we get a portion of their insurance to cover demolition, so that will be a lot easier at least.
So the owner had insurance,
Mhm. So
but
we,
just walked away.
so, yeah, I don't know, we just haven't had contact with them, so I don't think that's our.
Processing why you would choose to do that.
Public Works has been really busy. So some of you guys are aware of all the water leaks we had last week. It was chaotic for them for 48 hours. Finally got everything figured out, and now it's just a restoration, so. We ended up bringing in crews from Osawatomie and Lewisburg. They each gave us some crews, which really helped out, so. They got those tackled. One of the tennis courts at Wallace Park is being torn up and is gonna turn into a pickleball court, or I think 2 pickleball courts. So it'd be nice to have.
They're just gonna resurface it and then turn the nets.
I believe it's gonna, yeah, face the other way.
So the
that
other tennis court,
will stay there,
but not be resurfaced.
correct?
Okay.
So this one, they're completely tearing it out, and repouring everything. The end product should look really nice. I don't know if you guys have seen the fountain lights, but they've been all replaced and gotten lots of good comments about them, so it's good to hear. And the pool parking lot was resurfaced, so. Yeah, it was good. They've been very busy. City council meeting, earlier this month, they approved the CUP for 610 North Silver, you guys recommended. And I think that's all I have.
All right. Does anybody have anything for staff? All right. I'll take a motion for adjournment then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Got a second. I'll put it to a motion.
Hayes,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Galvin,
Yeah.
Mauer.
Yes.
Schwager.
Yes.
All right, we're adjourned.